Speech. Hello, everyone. My name is Dylan Tanner, and today I'll be reading to you my essay on the problems brought about by colleges and corporations that seek to destroy our rights to free speech, and the ways that we could potentially put a stop to them. Please keep in mind that I have OCD and intrusive thoughts, so do not be surprised if I stop in the middle of my narration or stumble over my words. With that out of the way, let's get started. Now, first off, let's examine what exactly the First Amendment does for us. As stated in the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. In simpler words, this means that nowhere in the United States shall there ever be an institution or rule that limits or bans our ability to voice our opinion, as long as what we do is protected by the law. However, there have been multiple accounts of universities and foundations throughout our country that are doing just that. These organizations are brainwashing students through the act of speech codes into believing that the only speech they have a right to is whatever the college wants them to say, not what the individual students have in their minds. Worse yet is the use of speech zones, which are tiny secluded areas to which students go to discuss whatever they want to, when in reality, they should be allowed to speak their minds anywhere on campus. And these practices are a direct violation of our First Amendment. And because of this, I strongly believe that they must be put to a halt. In the National Constitution Center, we are given an example of the unconstitutional practices used by universities directly aimed at the rights of students. The article states that in March 2017, Kevin Shaw, a student at Pierce College in California, sued the public community college when he was prevented from handing out Spanish language copies of the Constitution by an administrator. Shaw was not in a college designated free speech zone at the time and did not have a school endorsed permit to solicit literature. This is from the boundaries of free speech at public colleges. From what is shown above, we can see that Pierce College, like many other colleges, are striking out against students who wish to express their opinions and share them with others. The proof that these actions are unconstitutional is clear to see, because they're condemning people from reading the Constitution. They are disabling people from viewing the very paperwork that controls our nation and gives citizens the rights to free speech. Now, a great question to ask would be, why would these ridiculous rules even be put into action in the first place? And the answer to that question is because of the controversy regarding the Vietnam War. A description of the origins of college speech zones is given in an article from the University Network. Free speech zones began to appear in the late 1960s during the Vietnam War. Opposition to the war sparked nationwide protests, including those by students on college campuses. Protests were common at the time, and schools designated areas with the intent to allow students the space to protest without disruption of day-to-day activity. This is from free speech on college campuses. From a historical perspective, I can understand why schools and colleges did not want people talking about the Vietnam War, because it was a very contentious subject at the time. But even so, this was still a violation of our right to free speech. In fact, this is tied into a sentence that was stated in one of the videos provided in the course content section of this class, in the Least Free Place in America video at the 4-minute 41-second mark. It says, educated people should actively seek out intelligent people with whom they disagree for debate and discussion. Notice the word disagree in the sentence. The use of free speech zones and speech codes abrogates the ability to go and debate with others about what you think versus what they think in order to come to a happy medium. Now let me turn your attention to the solutions to the problems posed by the unjust campuses that seek to destroy our rights to free speech. One way to combat problems brought about by speech restrictions is through the establishment of foundations that aim for advocating free speech. There are a multitude of organizations created in recent years with the sole purpose of eliminating the unconstitutional speech codes and rules that are being used on college campuses. One such foundation is FIRE, which is an acronym for the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. FIRE was founded by Greg Lukianoff, who was the narrator seen in the videos regarding the violations of free speech on college campuses posted within this class's course content section. Their goal is to preserve free speech rights in colleges and universities, and to abolish the regulations that prohibit students from speaking about what they want to while on campus. A section of FIRE's official website describes the objectives that they seek to achieve. A chunk of text from this webpage says, "Our vision is an America in which people overwhelmingly believe in the right of others to freely express views overwhelmingly believe in the right of others to freely express views different from their own, and expect their laws and educational institutions to reflect and teach this belief." This is from FIRE's mission. And from what is given, we can see that FIRE is a foundation that knows exactly what is wrong and unconstitutional about these rules that are being enforced on college campuses, and that every student has a right to discuss and debate their opinion with others that have conflicting opinions. The next solution to removing the unjust speech codes from college campuses is by changing the policies that colleges use to regulate speech. While the speech codes are unconstitutional because they are banning speech that does not violate the First Amendment, what they should be doing is banning the speech that is not protected by the American Constitution. As we have learned throughout this course, the Constitution, does not consider rioting, destruction of property, false information, obscene language, and death threats as free speech because they are harmful and lead to chaos. This is the kind of behavior that universities should prohibit on their campuses instead of speech that is lawful and protected by the Constitution. American Association of University Professors. There is a portion of the text that states the following: institutions should adopt and invoke a range of measures that penalize conduct and behavior rather than speech, such as rules against defacing property, physical intimidation or harassment, or disruption of campus activities. This is from On Freedom of Expression and Campus Speech Codes. By changing what the universities disallow, we can put a stop to the oppression brought about by the use of free speech codes, while also removing hateful and derogatory language from campuses. One final solution to possibly eliminate the unfair speech codes from campuses is through the means of peaceful protest. If given the opportunity, students should rally and voice their opinions on how the restrictions placed on students' speech rights are unconstitutional. However, there are guidelines for what methods should be used to protest. Remember, we want students to voice their opinions in a safe and constitutional way, not in a form that violates the First Amendment and leads to more problems. In a page from Yale University's Office of the Secretary and Vice President for University Life, there is a list provided that shows what kinds of protests that students are not allowed to use when they want to voice their opinion. One of the examples included within this list is speaking from a bullhorn, shouting, or playing amplified music or noise from audio sources in a manner that interferes with speakers' ability to be heard and of community members' opportunity to listen, or disrupts or interferes with classes or other university activities. This is from Guidance Regarding Free Expression and Peaceful Assembly at Yale. As you can see, this kind of protest is disruptive and could possibly lead to the college not listening to the students' demands. What we want is a way for professors to hear out the students' reasoning in a calm and respectful manner. From all that has been explained in this essay, it is easy to understand the troubles brought about by the use of unconstitutional speech codes. They prevent people from speaking freely about what they want and indoctrinate them into believing that the only rights they have are the ones that the colleges allow. I hope that in the future, more people will become aware of these problems and that colleges will take the initiative to change their unfair policies. In closing, speech codes are a threat to our rights as listed in the First Amendment and must be put to an end. I am Dylan Tanner, and thank you for listening to my report.